Yes, ladies and gentlemen, episode 119 of the Journey's anime titled Chloe and Eevee, The Tracks of Evolution just dropped, and this is a recap episode focusing on Eevee and Chloe. Since this episode doesn't show anything new, I want to take this time to talk about these two trainer and Pokemon and what their path in this series has been. I also want to talk a little bit about this recap episode because there's a discussion that happens in here that I find fascinating. In this series, Chloe's original conflict is not knowing. Her closest friends are Pokemon trainers and researchers, her father is a professor, her mother is an illustrator. She feels like everyone has everything figured out, yet she herself doesn't know what she wants to do in the future. Everyone assumes she's going to take over her father's research lab, but at that early point in the series, she doesn't even really like Pokemon that much. However, that changes with two things. One, with the Emperor protecting her against Gengar early on in the series, showing what Pokemon can do, and two, when she meets her Eevee. She meets her Eevee in the school gardens when it escapes from a nearby laboratory and is running away from lab assistants. The laboratory where it escaped from was trying to study this particular Eevee because it seemingly doesn't want to evolve. When they give it stone, the evolution begins, but then it doesn't go through. They say it has particularly unstable genes. So after a day of having fun, Eevee wants to stay with Chloe and not go back to the lab, and the professor of the lab allow it, asking Chloe to take care of the Eevee. Obviously, the Eevee is supposed to parallel Chloe itself. She doesn't know what she wants to do, just as Eevee doesn't know what it wants to evolve into. And her journey through the series allows her to see multiple different aspects of life, just like the different types of evolutions. It also has a move that allows it to copy the moves of other Pokemon. That move's name is Copycat, but in this case, Eevee only uses Copycat on the moves that relate to its type of evolution. I actually hadn't noticed this before. But again, this is another reference to the many different paths that both Eevee and Chloe can choose to go into. However, an important thing to remember is that Chloe and Eevee are both young. If they don't want to figure out what they want to do right now, that's okay. As far as her development, there have been a few seminal moments for her development as shown in this particular episode. Her talk with Soleil, where Soleil talks about the fact that her two Eevees evolved into Umbreon and Espeon on their own, and she believed it was to help support each other, similar to people and Pokemon, and of course, this is also referencing Chloe and Eevee supporting each other in a similar way. The second one was her talk to Lana. Chloe had always believed that Eevee had 8 choices on what to evolve to, but Lana talks about the fact that there's really 9. Eevee could just not evolve, just like her own Eevee or Ash's Pikachu. That's a completely valid route to go through. The Eevee path allows them to be open to many things and not have to have it totally figured out right now. And that sometimes even if you don't know the answers right now, it's okay. The second part of the episode is really where the discussion that fascinated me happens. The episode tells us through Professor Cerise's letter to the Swift podcast that Eevee has helped open up Chloe. It encourages her to try out new things, like going to the Galar region, which she would have never done in the past, and this Eevee has been instrumental in the growth of Chloe as a person. However, as her father, he asks the important question, what is his role in the development of his child? How much should he let them figure it out, and how much should he help them? And through Ren's letter, we get a discussion of the idea that kids are actually smarter than we give them credit for, and that a lot of times they can really figure it out on their own. It's an important discussion to be had that isn't talked about much in children's media, and I'm honestly glad this episode talks about it. Chloe's story is looking at the story of a child through both the child and the adult point of view. Like I said, if you're a parent to a child that is exploring their worldview, what's your role in it? How much should you get involved? There's also the idea that people can change, not only kids but also adults, and that's okay because everyone has their own path through life. Watching this through, I'm really convinced that nothing will happen to Eevee next episode. We won't get a brand new evolution or anything because that isn't what the story of Eevee has been leading up to. While the Pokemon fan in me might want a new evolution or something, this Eevee story was really a parable to discuss important issues to allow kids to explore their development as a person. Remember, the target audience of this show are kids, and just like in the real world, it's something that I don't think will have a neat answer because Chloe is only 10. She doesn't have to make those decisions right now. She still has time, and when it comes down to it, that's alright. Honestly, even though this is a recap episode, I'd say skip to about the halfway point of the episode and really watch through and really think about the second half of the episode where these discussions are happening. The question asked in the podcast in the second half of the episode are really thought-provoking and important, especially to the main audience of the show, which is kids. It really discussed the development of people and the necessary things needed to go through it to be successful. It was actually really thought-provoking to me, and I hope that you can get as much out of it as I did. The next episode is another Chloe-focused episode. She still doesn't know what she wants to do, and her father decides to help her out by taking her to camp. What will she find there, and what will she learn? I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. But anyways, that is it for my review of episode 119 of the Journeys anime. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe. In the comments, let me know your thoughts on this episode. You can follow me on Twitter at TheRealPDGaming, and that is it. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.